We have a very special review for you. We're going to be comparing the lovely Eagle Rare 10 and the one and only Eagle Rare 17.
Yeah, these are obviously both products made by Buffalo Trace. The 17 is part of the vaunted antique collection, one of 5 that make up that. And the Eagle Rare 10 is a single barrel bourbon aged at 10 years, and both of them are actually 90 proof. Buffalo Trace is in Frankfort, Kentucky, and they're putting out, well, lots of good stuff.
Lots of good stuff, that's right.
For this review, we're going to start with the 10. We'll do a review for that, and then we'll do the 17, and then we'll compare the two at the end.
Definitely, I'm really excited to crack this guy open.
Yes, this has not been open, so we'll be doing a live.
That's right. Live on
opening,
set.
live tasting.
Another interesting fact about the Eagle Rare 17 and the Buffalo Trace antique collection as a whole, this is one of 2 bottles in the collection that is not barrel proof whiskey. So it's a 90 proof, they're both actually 90 proof bourbons.
Yep.
So starting with the 10, like we mentioned, gonna just throw out the obvious fact here. It's a 10-year-old bourbon, single barrel, like its older brother, and like I previously mentioned, bottled at 90 proof.
Yep.
So Jeff, we'll go ahead and hold this up to the light and look at the color for a minute.
I'd say it's probably a dark copper, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little on the darker side when you're talking about 90 proof bourbon. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get into some nosing.
I think I'm getting some vanilla, some cherry, and a little bit of cinnamon is what I'm picking up.
Yeah, it's a nice nose. It's you know, that heavy caramel, the cinnamon certainly there. A little bit of cherries, fairly sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's got a nice sweetness to it. Balances out the flavors.
Yeah, it's a nice nose. Well, let's get to tasting, shall we? Cheers.
Cheers. So the sweetness is still definitely there in the taste.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of the oak.
A little more of that cinnamon that we know.
Yep, cinnamon there. A little bit of, hint of rye is in there as well.
Certainly that rye spice. A few baking spices that can't quite put my finger on. A little bit of clove.
Yep, and I think a little bit of vanilla in there too. We got that on the nose. It's also
certainly
also
like Jeff mentioned, the wood is there. That vanilla and pretty heavy on the caramel. So it's a good, great taste.
Definitely a quality taste.
Yeah, this is a good single barrel. You know, with those single barrel bourbons, you're always going to have some variation.
A little bit of variation,
barrel.
Yeah.
If you can find a bottle that has been hand selected by the store, they have those programs where the store will select a sample from Buffalo Trace and just have their own barrel sitting out in the store. Certainly, that's the way to go. Pick one of those up.
Definitely, yeah. And if you buy the 750 milliliter bottle, it's going to put you about $25–$30 price range for the 10.
Right. This is the smaller size.
Yes, for the tasting, we just got the smaller size.
Yeah, but again, a great bourbon. I think I'm going to have to rate this guy mid to high 80s. Let's go with 87 for me.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good place to put is 87. That's about what I was thinking too. Now we'll go in and give the Eagle Rare 17 an open here.
Let's do it. I'm excited. It's always fun to open a bottle on the set. Don't get to do it that often, so bear with us for a moment. Thank you, Jeff.
Flop an ice cube in there with mine. So, as we said, this is one of 5 antique collection offerings from Buffalo Trace. They have 3 bourbons and 2 ryes, and they're available each fall. Buffalo Trace does an annual release. So this is one we've got in the fall, and we were holding it for a special video.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the color, Jeff. We'll hold it up to the light here. See how that compares.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a touch darker than the earlier Eagle Rare. So I'd say maybe some amber.
Yeah,
I think maybe almost rust maybe too.
Yeah, so where the 10-year was kind of more on the copper, this just a little bit darker, maybe like a rustic amber.
Yeah, rustic amber, that works good.
Certainly. Well, let's take a nose, shall we?
Yep.
The Rare 17.
I'd say the first thing I'm getting sort of is a tobacco, cigar box sort of.
Yeah, you know, it's been sitting down for 17 years, so we're certainly getting more of that leather and cigar box, like you mentioned. Probably going to taste that way. I can only imagine.
There's a little bit of oak in there too. I mean, obviously, if it's been an oak for 17 years, oak's going to be present.
Well, cheers. Let's have a taste. You know, like we thought, leather, oak, a little bit of rice spice.
Yeah, a little tobacco, and it's kind of just a dry sense. So, you know, there's not a lot of sweetness there.
Right.
It's just, you know, it's dry. All the tobacco, the leather, give you sort of a dry mouth.
Certainly.
Feel.
Very smooth. Going down. You know,
especially for a 17-year-old.
Yeah, 90 proof bourbon, pretty exceptionally smooth on the taste. It is dry, very dry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for what it is, a 17-year-old bourbon, I think some of the sweet notes are just kind of taken out from the 10-year. Again, on the finish, that dry mouthfeel, cigar box.
A little black pepper, I think, too, sort of towards the end as well.
Those spices, that pepper. Not a bad bourbon. It's tough to compare the two because while it is the same product, you know, 7 years does a lot to the alcohol.
Certainly.
And the content in the barrel.
I mean, I think another thing you gotta, not that you have to compare, but we subconsciously compare this to other antique collection ones.
Sure.
You know, the Stag, the Handy, that are barrel proof.
Right.
And they pack a good bit more punch.
Certainly.
But I think this has its, its own sort of niche in the collection.
Oh, I mean, I think it's great for what it is. Certainly a great barrel. I think score-wise, I'm going to have to rate this just a few points lower than its younger brother. I think I'm going to go with 84 for the 17-year.
I'm gonna do it on the same lines, 85 for me. I think it's good on its own. I think a little more sweetness would really,
sure,
bump it up the ladder. But it's good. There's a few bourbons that are similar, but it's sort of to the, like I said, the dry end. It's sort of on a, not in necessarily the mainstream taste palette.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a big fan of those bourbons that have just rich oak, leather notes, I think this is certainly something that you want to try when you can find it. Keep a lookout when fall comes around. Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
Yeah. And I think one thing we didn't know was this is from the 2013, so this is the most recent release of
absolutely
Eagle Rare.
Yeah, they don't give too much information regarding batch number, barrel number, things like that. But just, on the bottle, spring 2013, 90 proof.
Yep.
So thanks again. We hope you enjoyed this comparison video. It'll be the first, but it won't be the last. Make sure you check us out. Links to our Twitter and personal blogs are below.
Yep, and you can follow us on Twitter at Bourbon B Review.
Absolutely.
And also subscribe to our YouTube feed as well.
Please. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.